50 years as a head coach and assistant in the NFL, Carolina has interviewed Bill Belichick for their head coaching opening. Their heels looking for a replacement for Mac Brown, who was fired in the midst of his 6th season.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's official. Bill Belichick has officially made his decision about what his next chapter is going to be, and it's something that none of us were ever expecting. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications because we are so close to 1 million subscribers. My apologies if my hair is a little messed up. I just ran out of the gym the moment I got this news. I could probably use a shower right about now, but I'll get to that after this video. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! So we're pretty much being given free money again. You remember on Thanksgiving when Tyreek Hill only needed 1 receiving yard, and then we just need to make 1 correct prediction to 3x our money? And we hit on Thanksgiving, and now all Patrick Mahomes needs is 1 passing yard versus the Cleveland Browns. So we only need to make 1 prediction to 3x our money again. To take advantage of this opportunity, click the link in the description down below, or use my promo code Mikerophone when you sign up for PrizePicks to get a free $50 when you make a play of $5 or more. Now, unfortunately, I already 3x'd my money. Yeah, I paired Patrick Mahomes with Josh Allen throwing for over 242 passing yards versus the LA Rams, and could you blame me? The Rams are one of the worst passing defenses in the entire league, and I was certain this was gonna hit. Now, I posted this pick onto my Instagram story, so if you followed me on Instagram, you would have seen that pick, but if you didn't, don't worry. I still make plenty of picks on a daily basis for you to pair the Patrick Mahomes free square with another one of my favorite picks for this upcoming weekend, and I have a pretty good track record of hitting whenever we have a free square. So make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone when you sign up for PrizePicks to get a free $50 when you make a play of $5 or more, and hurry up and sign up before they move the lines because we want to take advantage of the odds we have. And thank you PrizePicks for the sponsor. Mike Chuck 1212. What's going on, everybody? Bill Belichick is really an individual that needs no introduction. This man has won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, 8 total Super Bowls throughout his career. It seems like everything he's ever touched has turned to gold, except for Mac Jones in the latter part of his career. With that aside, there's absolutely no denying that Bill Belichick is one of the greatest head coaches in NFL history. So when he became a free agent last offseason, many fans speculated that he would get picked up right away. After all, there were those reports that suggested that Bill Belichick was locked into deep conversations with the Atlanta Falcons. The man had multiple meetings with the Atlanta Falcons, but ultimately, the Falcons decided to go with Raheem Morris over Bill Belichick. And I'm not saying that was an incorrect decision, but I definitely think it's peculiar to go with the 48-year-old Raheem Morris over the guy that literally handed you the most devastating loss in your franchise's history. There's rumors speculating that Robert Kraft even blew up any chances of the Falcons hiring Bill Belichick. And Belichick went from a head coach that could potentially be coaching the Los Angeles Chargers or the Atlanta Falcons or any of the teams that had very attractive openings last year to a head coach that became a free agent. And it was very surprising. The Falcons went with Raheem Morris. The Seattle Seahawks decided to fire Pete Carroll out of nowhere and hired Mike Macdonald. The Washington Commanders were locked in on Ben Johnson, and when he became unavailable, I figured, okay, they probably would go for Bill Belichick, but they went for another defensive-minded head coach in Dan Quinn. The Chargers lured Jim Harbaugh away from Michigan. The Raiders decided to give Antonio Pierce a chance. The Titans decided to fire Mike Vrabel for some reason and hire Brian Callahan. And of course, the Patriots decided to move on from Bill Belichick for Gerard Mayo. So all the potential head coaching openings closed up, and Bill Belichick made the jump to media, which was very strange because a guy that was doing press conferences like this.
I don't really know what that means, so I can't answer the question. I'm just trying to win games. I'm not trying to, create, I don't know what the identity is. The identity I'd like to have is a team that wins a lot of games. So.
Was now making appearances on the Pat McAfee show, with probably the coolest moment being him analyzing Drake May.
Very talented kid, good size, runs well, has a good arm. Just, he hasn't played very much. It's a kid that can make all the throws. He just needs to be more consistent.
Bill Belichick's next chapter was really cool. I mean, this is a Belichick that we didn't really know existed. At 72 years old, he's dating a 24-year-old. He looks like he's having the time of his life as well. We finally get to see a bit of his personality when he makes appearances on the Pat McAfee show, and he stated repeatedly that he would like to return to coaching. Now, originally fans were speculating that Belichick just wanted to return to the NFL just so he could chase Don Shula's wins record. Currently, Bill Belichick has 333 wins, making him number 2 all-time for most wins by an NFL head coach, just 14 wins shy of Don Shula's record. So fans were thinking that Bill Belichick was going to take a year off and then eventually return to the NFL so he could cement his legacy as the greatest head coach of all time. After all, if you take a look at the head coaches in the hot seat this year, the candidates to potentially hire Bill Belichick are a little bit more attractive than last year. I would say probably the most attractive destination for Belichick would be the Chicago Bears. The offense is practically already built with Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Caleb Williams. You have a solid running back in DeAndre Swift. The defense is up and coming with Jalen Johnson and Montez Sweat. And as it currently stands, the Chicago Bears have the number 9th pick in the NFL draft to go with the 35th pick and the 41st pick in the NFL draft. So there's a lot of room to work with in order to rebuild this team moving forward. The pieces are there, potentially take a team that has been a laughingstock in the NFC North to one of the best teams in the NFL. The only problem is he would be joining the most competitive division in football. I mean, the NFC North has the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, which, by the way, both of these teams are within a game of each other for first place and a first round bye in the NFC playoffs. And then right underneath that, you have the 9-win Green Bay Packers. So is this really a division that you want to go to for the foreseeable future, even though you do have a promising team? Apart from that, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are in a much more inconsistent division, and they have a high draft pick, so maybe with a different scheme for Trevor Lawrence, and maybe after finally getting Trevor Lawrence some better targets to throw the football to, obviously except for Brian Thomas because he clearly looks like a star in the making, then this team could eventually turn their fortunes around and be the most dominant team in the AFC South. The only true competition there is the Houston Texans so far, barring a huge jump from Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts, of course. Then there's the New York Giants, who pretty much need a complete rebuild. There are some solid pieces on the defense in the form of Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. Maybe Bill Belichick could go in there and get the most out of those players, but they need a brand new quarterback. They need to fix their offensive line. There's a lot of rebuilding that needs to go on for the New York Giants, so I don't think that's an attractive destination for him either. And then, of course, there's the Dallas Cowboys, who, despite having a terrible season this year, it would not shock me at all whatsoever if they brought back Mike McCarthy. But even if they didn't bring back Mike McCarthy, I can't imagine Bill Belichick wanting to work with Jerry Jones, respectfully. So then we would get a headline that would shock everybody, and it's the fact that Bill Belichick was taking meetings with the University of North Carolina. Now, after the first meeting, I felt like this was just Bill Belichick exploring something, but then he would have a second meeting a few days later that went for 5 hours.
The talks with North Carolina are real. I understand he met with them yesterday for 5 hours.
His former assistant coach, Nick Saban, had this to say about Bill Belichick potentially making the jump to college.
First of all, Bill's an outstanding coach. He's very well organized. So I think he would do a great job in college. The only thing that would be different is recruiting.
And then Bill Belichick would go on the Pat McAfee show to discuss why he feels like he'd be a seamless fit in college football.
It will be an NFL program at a college level. College program would be a pipeline to the NFL for the players that had the ability to play in the NFL. Scheme, coaching, techniques that would transfer to the NFL. I feel very confident that I have the contacts in the National Football League to pave the way for those players.
There's no question about it that college sports has been changed forever with NIL deals. And as a result, programs are trying to acclimate to the brand new change. Programs are trying to make splashy additions to seem more appealing to potential signees. I would say recruits, but it doesn't seem like it's recruiting anymore, is it? About a week ago, we made a video on how Andrew Luck is returning to Stanford as their general manager. There wasn't a general manager in college football 5 years ago. I mean, in basketball, Adrian Wojnarowski decided to step down from his job as the #1 news source for all basketball transactions and instead became a general manager for St. Bonaventure's basketball program. And I can imagine this being very appealing to Bill Belichick because Belichick wasn't able to become a general manager and a head coach simultaneously immediately for the New England Patriots. It took him about about 9 years for Robert Kraft to decide that he should be head coach and general manager. And at the same time, you have to remember, it's very rare for a head coach to succeed as a general manager as well. So given the brand new landscape in college football, given Bill Belichick's history in acquiring talent and also coaching that talent, and the fact that I just feel like he's itching to get back to football, it wouldn't surprise me if he decides to take this route. And if there's a college football player that wants to make it to the NFL, I don't think there's a more attractive destination than UNC if UNC was able to get Bill Belichick. And what's really interesting is I don't think we've ever seen a situation like this before. I don't think we've ever seen a head coach that had the success that Bill Belichick had in the NFL make the jump to college football. I think the closest example of this might be Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh made it to 3 NFC championships, didn't even win a Super Bowl, had a Super Bowl appearance, and then went to Michigan, won a championship for Michigan, turned that program around, and is now coaching the LA Chargers. But typically you see head coaches making the jump from college football to the pros. It's really rare to see coaches in the NFL going back to college football. I mean, you saw Lane Kiffin do it and Matt Rule do it. You saw Bill O'Brien do it. And of course, Nick Saban did it. But these are all coaches that didn't have a tremendous amount of success coaching in the NFL. Bill Belichick is one of the most decorated coaches of all time, which obviously bodes the question, is this just a ploy by Bill Belichick to drive up his value? It sounds very similar to what we were hearing in January. Like, take a look at this. Bill Belichick meets with Falcons for second interview. Arthur Blank is all in on landing ex-Patriots head coach. The Falcons are already at the second interview with Belichick, which caused many around the league to believe it's a fait accompli that he'll be crowned the newest head coach in Atlanta, perhaps in short order. A source familiar with Belichick told CBS Sports that Blank desperately wants Belichick and that it's ultimately Belichick's job if he wants it. That source said it's 50-50 right now if he takes the job. It's just when you compare that to what you're hearing about the UNC interviews, it seems like we've seen this movie before. And originally I thought this was all just smoke and mirrors to drive up his own value, because a lot of things here don't make sense. Do I think Bill Belichick would succeed as a college head coach? Absolutely. I mean, imagine all of these young players growing up watching Tom Brady win Super Bowls with Bill Belichick, and now you get the opportunity to get coached by Bill Belichick in college, not in the pros. There are young men that would make that sacrifice to go and play for Bill Belichick. There's no question in my mind about that. But if he's chasing Don Shula's coaching record, then is this something that makes the most sense? It seems like that's not what Bill Belichick was chasing this whole time. As a matter of fact, it seems like he's more than content with being second in most wins all time by a head coach in the NFL. And it seems like he was just pursuing a completely different challenge and genuinely just missed being a part of coaching. Because as time went on, we got some pretty interesting information about the way Bill Belichick wants to run this program. According to Kevin Seifert, ESPN, among the looming issues are the potential role that Bill Belichick wanted for his son and current Washington defensive coordinator Steven Belichick, North Carolina's name, image, and likeness resources, Bill Belichick's salary, and resources for the staff and reporting structure. Bill Belichick also reportedly gave UNC a 400-page document about how he planned on rebuilding the program, the people he wanted to bring on board, and the responsibilities he wanted to be given as head coach. And eventually, North Carolina made their decision because according to Adam Schefter, Chapel Bill, a 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach, Bill Belichick is finalizing a deal to become the new head coach at North Carolina, sources tell me, Pete Thamel and Chris Lowe, ESPN. Bill Belichick is going back to school to where his father served as an assistant coach in the 1950s. This is also confirmed by Ian Rappaport. This is now confirmed, and then eventually tweeted out former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, will become the next coach of the University of North Carolina, sources say. The deal is done. From Super Bowls to college football, just like Bill Walsh, just like Deion Sanders, now Belichick. I mean, Bill Walsh I get, but why include Deion Sanders in there? You know, respectfully, yeah, Deion Sanders won Super Bowls as a player, but it just seems like such a random ad over there. A part of me wonders if Rap Sheet and Deion Sanders have some sort of deal to promote him a little bit more, just so he could get some more head coaching interest in the NFL, but that's my own conspiracy theory. Let's get to this, man. Originally, I felt like the chances that Bill Belichick would become the head coach of North Carolina were a pretty big long shot. Because one, this takes him out of the running of him potentially being able to surpass Don Shula for the most wins by a head coach. And two, the transfer portal opened up 2 days ago, so you would think that Bill Belichick would have agreed to become North Carolina's new head coach maybe a week or two ago, but it seems like this is their decision, and honestly, I think it's a fantastic one. Look, originally, I felt like Bill Belichick was having a great time in retirement, and I felt like he was doing wonderful in media, and he was just going to keep it that way. But if coaching is what fuels his fire and he wants to go back to it, even at the age of 72 years old, if that's what he feels like will complete him, if this is the challenge that juices him up, then by all means, I think it's a great hire for North Carolina. The landscape of college football has changed drastically with NIL deals, and now if you're a high school football player that without a doubt grew up watching Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots dynasty, to have the opportunity to play for him at North Carolina is so valuable. A part of me wonders how he's going to institute the Patriot way. Is he going to say you're not going to get as much NIL money and you need to take a pay cut with your NIL contracts? I'm really curious to see how he runs the program, but honestly, if I'm a fan of the Tar Heels, I'd be so confident in this working out. It's kind of funny too, because the new starting quarterback for the New England Patriots played for North Carolina last year. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about all this? I was definitely shocked by Bill Belichick's decision, but I don't necessarily think that makes it the wrong decision. I like to hear what you have to say. Apart from that, there's something weird going on in Philadelphia between AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. We have a whole separate video on that. I'll leave it in the end screen and meet you guys there. We also have a separate video on Travis Hunter, a player that we've never seen before in football. Is he worthy of the Heisman, or do you think Ashton Jeanty deserves it instead? Both of those videos will be in the end screen. I'll meet you guys there. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.